Hey, we're back with Deep Images. I'm Henry Covert, and we are rolling on with this David Lynch Symposium series. This time around, we're going to be covering in depth the straight story. Immediately after this introduction, we'll have the opening credits and music, and then we're going to go right into a very special video essay recorded for us by Dr. Rhonda Baughman, one of our finest new collaborators. After her video essay on Lynch in general, we will segue into a short video essay by Tonjia Atomic, a longtime collaborator with the show, and she will be presenting to us her take on the straight story. Then we will get into our three-person panel, myself, Briggie Williams, and co-host C.F. Roberts, as the three of us wound up our second session on Lynch by having a short but hopefully meaningful discussion on the film. Work that many feel is atypical of his oeuvre, or maybe in some ways the exception that proves the rule. I personally feel The Straight Story is a bookend to The Elephant Man. Both are biographical, both are deeply emotional. Both of them have a lot to do with, I guess, being an outsider or feeling like an outsider for whatever reason. So, anyway, I hope you'll join us in this very special presentation. Thank you for watching, and after the credits, we'll get right into Rhonda. Thank you.
After I'm done watching a David Lynch movie, I generally hug a pillow to re-regulate my central nervous system. David Lynch is an intense creative, so why wouldn't the experience of watching a Lynch film be just as intense? To be fair, it's 2025 as I record this, and most things are an intense experience and basically find me hugging a pillow. But probably nothing had me pillow hugging more so than when the news cycle hit that David Lynch had passed away. My response was the same for when Bowie passed, right? My response was very, I would say, almost childlike in its disbelief. It was, no, he didn't. As if somehow Bowie and Lynch were above death. And I guess because their works were so pivotal, so important, so essential, so lovely and untouchable, I guess I really thought that maybe they'd somehow, if anybody could have figured out a way to escape death, it was our boys Bowie and Lynch. Apparently not that I'm aware of anyway. So when I think about someone like David Lynch now, once the shock has worn off, and I think what I miss the most, it's not like, damn, we'll never see another David Lynch film. No, it's more like, well, thank God we have all of the Lynchian products. You know, his films, the shorts, the commercials, the videos, the interviews. Those are definitely my favorite. But honestly, it's not even about, oh, what's my favorite David Lynch film? You know, should I think about Blue Velvet today and quote that incessantly as I did in my 20s? I won't do that here, but, or should I talk about, Dune? Should I talk about something else on the IMDb or Wikipedia page? Should I talk about Wild at Heart and how that film pretty much set up my dating life for me, also in my 20s? Whoops. No, David Lynch for me now isn't about favorite movies or that banging Chris Isaak video. No. David Lynch now, to me, simply represents mystery, secrets, things that are behind the curtain, past the veil, just beyond my reach. That's David Lynch. It's not, how can I dissect this film? I mean, I could, but David Lynch himself, as I'm sure his creative process was and technically still is, it's a portal. Like, it's magic. I guess I could say it's a magical portal, but in some way, his works open up doors to creativity for other artists that some of us didn't even know were there. You can always watch his work and be inspired. A David Lynch film isn't something you just chill out to like it's the new episode of Reacher. No, David Lynch is something that you put on when you want to make yourself uncomfortable enough to grow and change in ways that will empower you to take risks in your own work. That's what David Lynch is to me. Be it the man's works, his life, or his death. There's always some element of surprise and the need to investigate, be it something you're seeing or hearing on screen from the man's works, or the feeling that his works evoke inside you. It's not something that you want to do lightly. It's not, gee, today I think I'm going to just take on a David Lynch film and see where that goes. See what I can write and create afterwards. Oh no. No. You've got to get ready. You've got to, get your beverages, be ready to hydrate, put on your special magical hat, and hug your pillows tight, because it's a ride. It's not going to be a final destination. It's a ride through an emotional landscape to see what happens after I watch this Lynchian artifact, and then how am I going to feel, and what's going to come out of me next. For me, it's Medium Chill 9. It was, let's put on some of these David Lynch films, some I have not seen in a while. How do I feel? Noticing that, now it's, what am I going to create to honor the man behind the secrets and the art and the mysterious portals.
So my take on The Straight Story came out in 1999, and my take on that movie is, I think it's a beautiful, well done film, and it is about Alvin Straight, who is a true story, and he drove his tractor to his brother's house after he hears that his brother had a stroke, and Mr. Straight is losing his eyesight. He's lost his license to drive, and he has some other health issues as well. He's diabetic. There's a few other things. I think he has mobility issues. And so he decides he has to go visit his brother, who he has been estranged from for the last few years. And he decides to ride his riding lawnmower to his brother's house. And he attempts to go there. He has a few failed attempts. he has to buy a new lawnmower. He makes the trailer and everything to go up there, and then he goes on a long journey. It only goes 5 miles an hour, so it is a very long journey. It takes him several weeks. He's going from Iowa to Wisconsin. And when I first heard of the film, I didn't think it would I thought that it would be very based in reality and wouldn't really feel like other David Lynch films. I just realized that was not quite correct. Most of David Lynch films live in this world that's sort of dreamlike, that has dreamlike properties to it that aren't kind of grounded in reality. They're more based on metaphor and things. But I felt like this still had his hand in it. You could see that from the beginning. We start with a field of stars and go into these really long, slow push-ins to the characters, to the action. Definitely, I felt David Lynch's work there. Also, there was pacing that felt very David Lynch. There was slow pacing. There was like a lot of Midwest going on, Midwest scenes, showing of expansive fields or sky, and there were a lot of older people in this film, which I really appreciated, and the pacing was a lot slower with the dialogue and interaction. And I felt like it gave the movie a lot of breathing room to explore the emotions that are kind of underneath what people talk about. You share certain things, but you're not raw. You don't share everything internally. But you could feel that in the pacing of this. And it was really well done, and definitely not without action. When he goes on his journey, he encounters several people, a bike race, a pregnant runaway, different people that try to help him along his way. And definitely there's a lot going on. At the beginning, we do see his life at home with his daughter, and I feel like the main point of this movie is family. He is going to reconcile with his brother because he realizes that things are serious and that he's getting older. And he lives with his daughter. They take care of each other. He cares about her and things that are going on with her. And along the way, the people that he meets, they share stories about family, or he meets their family. And it really is about family love, I think, and connecting with people. It's just a really nice, beautiful story that is, like I'd say, a little bit slower pace, a little bit calm, but emotional, simple almost, and really well done. Richard Farnsworth plays the main character, and I think he's the perfect person for this. He has like a rugged roughness and also a gentleness inside that I feel like lends to the character, and really, I don't know what the person was like in real life, but I feel like that it makes sense that he would go out of his way to do this for his brother. And it's very touching, and I really enjoyed this one. I recommend it. I think it's great.
I'll try to bring everybody down with my feelings about it.
I'm glad we're ending on this one because it's such a great palate cleanser.
Yeah, I think everybody should see it. I mean, yeah, when it came out, a lot of people were skeptical on all sides of the fence. Like people who liked Disney, people who liked Lynch.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing. I was like, why is he doing this? Why is he making a G-rated movie? So this one is the straight story. I believe it's 1999. You correct me on that, Chuck.
I believe that's right.
Yeah. The straight story, yes. And so it is positioned in between Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive. And but it's nothing like either of them. David Lynch took a break from all of the mounting dread that he was, doling out. and decided to do something like The Elephant Man. I think I considered a book into The Elephant Man. It's also a biography. It also departs from a lot of his narrative tropes or tones them down considerably.
Hmm.
But yeah, the straight story, I'll go through it. It's pretty simple. I mean, the guy really lived. I think he died about 2 years before this movie was made. Alvin Strait, so he's in, I guess, the Midwest. You guys correct me on this stuff if I get something wrong. I did watch this all the way through the other day.
Hmm.
He gives to the doctor, and he has a hip problem. He may need surgery, having some plastic or metal inserted, and he's not real happy about that. And he gets up and he's like, I don't want to walk her. Well, have two canes, and that really hit home for me. I can't walk without a cane now. I mean, literally. So I'm there now. So I'm like, wow. And my dad, watched my dad he was in great shape overall for a long time. But when he was in his 80s, I was living with him, and I saw him gradually have to make these accommodations, and it's sad. He was a proud, strong man, kind of a mean man. But the point is, he doesn't really like relying on people, being dependent on people. He hated it, and when that happened near the end, I think he just lost the will to live. Um, so my point being is that at the time I watched this movie, my dad was alive. Uh, I was living with him, so it wasn't his death factor in or a disease, um, but he reminded me of him a lot, even physically, except that he's tall. My dad looked a lot like me, only older, craggy, and short, but a little taller. But he, it made me sad watching it. Not sad where I had to look away. I didn't have to look away, but I mean, nothing really happens to most people. I think they would find it mundane, but basically, he decides that even though he now has more health problems than ever, he's going to visit his brother. What's his brother's name?
He
Uh,
has a brother who he has had a very rocky relationship with. They haven't spoken
hold on,
in
Chuck.
years.
So, despite all these health issues, he's determined to go mend fences with his brother. He's played by Harry Dean Stanton. His name is Lyle. So
Wow.
after a while, you start to piece together that they have some kind of rift. It was really bad and acrimonious, but I don't think they ever really tell exactly what happened.
No, nor do they really need to.
Nor do
You
they
know,
need
you
to.
just
Yeah, and that's kind of the point is he gets to where at our age and our health, it doesn't really matter why. It's not
yeah.
important. Yes, he
Right.
lives with his daughter Rose. His wife, unnamed wife, died, he said, in 1981. So 18 years prior to this movie. So Rose has some kind of mental disorder or uh autismic kind of,
Disability,
what did you say?
disability, or
Yeah,
something
a
like
mental
that.
disability. She's got like a stutter, and she also is kind of a little naive, and but she does, she moves around fine, and
Mhm.
she seems crafty and neat and everything. So basically, she is his caregiver, but he doesn't really need a full time caregiver yet. So they don't say it in the movie, but I feel like he's like, well, I need to mend fences. I need to right my karma before me and Lyle both die.
Mhm.
So he decides to take his tractor, and because he doesn't have a driver's license anymore. That reminded me of my dad too. I was the one that had to stop my dad from driving when he was like 80, not 8. He did not have a driver's license. So he's riding his tractor and it conks out with him on him not far into his trip. And he gets he burns to death. Does he burn it? I think he burns it, right? And then
I think he brings it home and blows it up.
yeah, that's right. He brings it home and he shoots it or something and blows it up. That was hilarious. So he's back home. So he gets a much better tractor, and he gets a deal with. Is this where he gets a deal with the twins? These weird twin brothers. Is
No,
that
this is
what?
when he goes back and he gets another tractor, a John Deere. It's better than the one he blew up, and then he gets on the road. It's not until later on that he meets the twins.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So they
John Deere dealer, played by oh, what's it? It's Big Ed from Twin Peaks. I always blank
Everett
on his name.
McGill,
Everett McGill.
who's also in
Yes,
Dune, actually. He
yes,
Mhm.
plays Stilgar in Dune. That was a good
yes,
trip.
yes. He does.
Um, I love him. So there's really not much going on. He meets a few people, he sees the countryside. He goes a long way on that thing. He kind of weathers the elements. He goes sleeps in the thing he's got attached to his tractor. He does meet a girl who's homeless and pregnant, hitchhiking, and that was kind of weird. I figured that was not going to end in a happy way. I mean, she doesn't die or anything, but she just kind of disappears after, she slept at the encampment they made. And when I first was watching it, I was afraid she was going to do something really awful, like sabotage his stuff or like steal a bunch of stuff. But thankfully that didn't happen. She just, I guess, just wanted to split. So he went ahead and kept going, and it seems like everywhere he was telling pieces of his life. So it's kind of being all out of order, non-linear, and you're starting to get a more portrait of this guy. And I think it becomes more and more poignant. Um, he is, I mean, in the most literal sense and figurative, he literally is of another time. He is of another generation,
Yeah.
removed twice from us. My dad was too, and it's that generation, and they went to war. He went to World War II also. There's a lot of that, and some of those people turn out insufferable, and you can't deal with them ever because they're angry, they're messed up, they're PTSD. My dad was kind of like that, not as bad as some though, but then there are people like this Alvin guy. So Alvin seems like a nice fella. So he probably grew up on a farm. He meets that other old guy when he needs a repair for his tractor, and they start sharing stories about their World War II experiences. And that reminded me a lot of my dad. And I was like, wow, this is really a trip. And because it's the way he talks, like speech patterns or certain slang he uses. I mean, now my dad would have said all that, but he would have put like goddamn motherfucker, cocksucker, bitch right in the middle of all of it. Because that's it. He had to spice up every sentence with a lot of profanity. Um, then it doesn't have the G rating anymore. But
Yeah.
so Alvin Strait, I don't know. He finally gets where he's going. I don't. He calls what's her face to get his check sent to him, but I don't know where it's sent to. I didn't really understand that part.
Sissy SpaceX. It's like sort of like a Western Union, I'm sure.
Oh,
Because at
wiring
that
thing.
time, that's the only way you could wire money to. So, I
Yeah.
mean, they didn't show it, but we have to take leaps of understanding because of the
Oh,
time,
sure.
but also in that time, that's what they were really doing. It was like Western Union, but you have to be of that time, which we are not so far removed from, so that you would wire money. So that's what
So
she
you
probably
just
did.
you just see her talking with him on the phone about the money, but you don't see
Hmm.
him receiving money. That's an ellipsis.
Hmm. Right. And then he's paying the two brothers, the Olsen twins, which is
Yeah,
what their
Mary Kate
names
and
were.
Ashley and Elizabeth's good
No, they
looking.
were. That's what their names were. They were called the
I know
Olsen
it sure
twins.
it threw me off a lot when I watched the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? I don't like
Right.
them. I like Elizabeth Olsen though. She's a great actress. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, man. Okay, so the Olsen brothers, and they're not impressed with his wheeling and dealing. He's like always wheeling and dealing, trying to get the price down and stuff. And again, in his generation, you could barter with people, especially your neighbors, their stores, their village, or wherever you lived and worked, and you knew everybody. So you could be like, "Hey, bud, I don't know, man. Can you shave like 75 off that one? I mean, because this." And he's pretty sly about it too. He's like making up scenarios and shit. Or like, I don't know how many hours he took that work or just bickering. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think 10-20% should go off for the bickering. Like this guy's
Yeah,
hilarious.
boy, I've heard of haggling, but boy, yeah, that was
He's so calm when he
a
does it. You're
master
like,
class.
yeah, as a master. Oh yeah, yeah, it's sly. So yeah, you see Lyle, and it's to me when he's finally getting over that hill, it's obvious his tractor's getting ready to die. Um, and when he gets there, he doesn't see Lyle, and then he finally sees him, and then they just have a talk. It's very very mundane, but they don't hug and kiss or scream or anything like a reunion like a Hollywood movie. Yeah, it was to me as totally real because it really happened, but the representation of it is totally real, very authentic, in its vibe is what I mean. Not whether the details are all exactly the same, but I loved it. Didn't expect to.
Yeah,
I
it was
re-
really good.
I feel bad because, as you know, we should address the elephant in the room, which is that Richard Farnsworth, who played the character, was dying of various illnesses, and he was nominated for Best Actor Academy Award for this movie, and he shot himself to death, supposedly because of his bad health. He couldn't take the pain. So,
Yeah.
so that's like you see that and you put that attach that to the end of the movie, and it's like, wow, okay. To me, it goes somewhere else, really. In my mind, it's like, did he know he was dying during this movie? Did he feel like he was
I believe so.
was he portraying a character? Like, did he feel a kinship with the real Alvin Straight, and he was doing the things, acting out the things Alvin Straight did at that age and his little journey. Uh, so it's kind of
Probably.
meta. There's like a meta level there to me.
Yeah.
What do you think, Briggie?
Oh, most definitely. I feel like the way the movie opened, quite honestly, it sort of opened the same way that Blue Velvet opened.
It
Um,
does.
yeah, it does. It's sort of the camera kind of comes in and then this little idyllic town and this little idyllic moment, and then all of a sudden it takes a left turn when the main character faints on the kitchen floor, and then the movie starts to progress into what it turned into, which is now I've got to go see my brother who's had a stroke, and how will I get there? It reminded me very much of like a Joseph Campbell, like what is this called, Hero's Journey, where he needed to, get to this place before a certain time, and the people he meets along the way, which is a sort of a Ulysses type thing.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
kind
Yeah.
of read all into it that way
Even
because
though
that's
even though they're
how.
mundane, they're all characters in
Right.
their own way. He gives them all little quirks,
Correct.
and
Correct. And also the fact that I don't really believe it was just that he's from a different time. I believe once you get out into America, into that part of America, there are people who really believe and live that way. So they were willing to help him and willing to open their doors to him, and they did trust him because that part of America still does exist. It
even
doesn't get a
Yeah.
now,
lot of respect. I believe it does. Well, where I live and I've taken trips cross country like 3 times, and I was in a cab over a camper, but I just would find places to stop, and I would just meet people and camp and
wow,
eat, drink, and just strangers. I'll never see them again, but they were very hospitable to me. They were very
yeah,
kind. And so I would just say for myself that those people out there in the so-called heartland, as they call it, they still do exist. And so this movie really brought that back to me, that those memories. The One of the things that he said was that he and his brother, when they were little, they would look up at the stars.
yeah,
So the fact that when they finally saw each other, they were just on the porch and maybe they said 2 words between each other and they just looked up at the stars together. And to me,
Yeah.
that was like the equivalent of their embrace, their hug, their memories all coming
Yeah.
back in a way that a shared memory that only they understand.
yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, and
I
that's
love.
what made it,
Okay,
yeah, beautiful
Yeah.
to me. So,
yeah, it's he's
mhm.
yeah, he calls out Lyle's name and it's hilarious. You hear Harry Dean Stanton, he's like, "That you,
Mhm.
Alvin?"
Right.
When I watched
Mhm.
it, I didn't know Harry Dean Stanton was going to be in the movie, so that was
Mhm.
kind of a shock to me, a good shock, because he's not in the credits in the beginning. So, uh, but his role is small, but of course it's key. And in real life, I'm trying to think of their age. So Richard Farnsworth would be about 101 or two. Harry Dean Stanton might be about 98. Harry Dean Stanton's probably 3 to 5 years younger than Farnsworth. I didn't know Harry Dean Stanton was anywhere near that old until I read some stuff after Twin Peaks: The Return, and I was like, "What?" I'm like, he's 90. What the fuck?
Roundabout that time, he looked about that old.
Yeah, he finally started to age out because from like
Yeah.
40 to 75, he looked exactly the same. And I need to research what he did before the early 70s. That's as far back as I see him in movies. But he
Yeah.
would have been already 40.
Mm,
I think he was probably like 47 or 8 when he did Alien, maybe,
maybe.
in
Yeah.
that range. Um, But yeah, it's never too late. Damn it! Look at me, for instance.
Yeah.
Well, I
That's
would
our
say the only
story, and
time,
we're sticking to it.
right, right. The only time it's too late is when you say it's too late. Because when you're young, people
Yeah.
say you're too young to be doing X, Y, and Z. And when you get older, they say you're too old to be doing that. So the moral of the story is live your life and fuck what everybody else has to say.
Yeah.
That's the
Live
only
your
thing that
life, live
serves
your
me
dreams.
instead.
And that's
Hell
the only
yeah.
thing that matters. That's it. Because everybody's going to tell you you're too young or too old to be doing something. And as long as it's not illegal, you know what I mean? Uh, Live, do your thing. You've got one shot, and I think you should aim as high and as far as you can. So my on my emails, it's my outgoing phrases. Life is short, so I don't want to give it away, but it's more or less like live hard, live deep,
Right.
love deep, and don't hold back. It's important to live. So that
I'm
movie
pretty
was
I'm,
very
I'm pretty
touching.
mindful now as a person because of what I've been through the last like 10 years or so, 15 years.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I can protect myself,
Right.
and that's cool. I mean, the situation I'm in now is not optimal, but it doesn't
Hmm.
really change the way I see the world or myself or anything. I mean, it makes me hate the healthcare system even more so in some visits, but overall, it's not. I don't know. I'm me. I'm happy with myself. It took me a little over 50 years to be happy with myself. I would have I don't know, 10 years ago, I might have tried something like this, and maybe 50, 20 even. Before that, there's no way in hell I would have wanted to be on camera ever. Um, I was offered to do a podcast, but a public access show a couple of times by two different kind of indie, alternative kind of cats who were older than me in Charlotte. One in 1997, and one in like 2002, and the one in 2002 is going to be me and Scott, my friend who I later lived with. And I mean, we did a practice rehearsal at Scott's house. I was having fun. I was pretty drunk. We were talking about Fulci. That's a great combination, is getting drunk and talking about Lucio Fulci. Everyone should try it or watching it. But
Yeah.
I was having fun, and I'm like, Scott, this is going to be a hit. Now I look back and look back, and I'm like, I don't know. Could I maybe would I had to have ultimate inner confidence, because I still get nervous now, but it's like I've learned how to I just keep going. When I have negative emotions, I just keep going right through them, and I don't let them detour me. And I think that's
Yeah.
a strength, of survival strength. I'm
The best
incredible.
you can, you have to, I think.
It is. I mean, we're not getting any younger, quote unquote. Um, Chuck, where do you
Yeah.
land on this movie?
I land in a lot of ways. I land kind of squarely in the middle. I don't know. The first time when it came out, I was not crazy about seeing it. Especially as it was
I
supposed to
wasn't
be
either.
Lynch bouncing back from what I guess was the perceived failure of Lost Highway, and which I was a movie that I was completely in the tank for and completely all
Lost
about.
Highway lives on in our hearts, though.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like, and so it's kind of like, yeah, but I hate seeing him go down this road and doing a G-rated Disney kind of
Yeah,
movie.
I
But
was
then it
afraid
was
too.
like, and despite all the accolades he was getting, and it blew up for him and it did well, and that was maybe a good thing. And so finally, I went and decided to catch it on video when it came out on video,
Mhm.
and I watched it and I thought, okay, this is genuinely good. The thing, I mean, and here's the wraparound. Here's the wraparound for you, because I think during the Elephant Man, I mentioned this about the emotional pornography versus just genuine earned emotion. Is there are a couple of scenes in there that are genuine, and I mean, the scene where they're talking about the war is gut wrenching and it's heavy. Uh, the scene where he's talking to the girl, the whole story about you break this stick, it's pretty easy. You bundle these sticks together, you can't break them because that's family. And that's genuine. The ending, it's just kind of like very minimalist. It doesn't tell you any more than you need to know. They sit down together, they look up at the stars. That's the end. And I thought that's perfect.
Yeah, it begins
And
with the sun and ends with the moon.
yeah, but when I rewatched it back a few weeks ago, I was just like, okay, this is kind of hitting me in different places now. And in a lot of ways, in some ways, it hit me a lot harder. Maybe it was knowing what I knew about Farnsworth by then.
Yeah.
But in a lot of respects, it was just maybe having lost Lynch and whatnot. But it was also just, okay, a lot of the pains and aches and troubles that come with that age and that come with, I don't know, just different, getting past drama and getting back to like the real thing and whatnot. How do you reconcile with people? How do you get past your bullshit and just reconnect with people? That's stuff that's kind of in a lot of ways important to me now. But it's just like maybe that's why it hit me harder this time out. But being what it is, he does it very well, and I was suitably impressed.
Yeah, it's pretty immaculately made. There you go. That's a tight movie. It starts with journey, and you don't stop watching or get lost or what the hell's going on. Why does this woman that Alvin meet have telepathic powers and belong to a cult of witches? Like that. But
ain't no telepathic cult here.
No. Yeah, I love it. I think it's a masterpiece. I mean, it may not be his biggest masterpiece, but it is A1. And if you locate it in the time it came out, that year a lot of very, very, very hyped movies came out, like Eyes Wide Shut, Blair Witch Project, Star Wars Phantom Menace. I don't like any of those movies at all. And
me neither.
Really did not. They kind of made me feel like it was worse than junk food. So under the shadow of all that, David Lynch goes to Disney, and you're like, is he going to be with the big boys? But no, he got kind of kicked aside. But I think what he's saying, to me anyway, is much more riveting than the messages of those other movies. First of all, Blair Witch Project had no message. It had no plot. It had nothing. They're just walking around hating each other for an hour and a half of my fucking time. Give that time back to me. And I love found footage horror movies. I love found footage horror movies. I do, but they're kind of like a lot of.
I love some of them.
Yeah, it's like a lot of genres. You watch a couple and you're like, oh, these are cool. Then you start watching a bunch and you're like, oh, okay, those are the only ones that are cool. All right, so that's everything we've got today for David Lynch. The next session, we'll complete our look at his oeuvre, and hopefully you will enjoy it and agree or disagree with our views on his work and him as a person. So, in the interim, though,
like, subscribe, join us again. We would love to have you. Love to hear your input, your output, your shot put, whatever you got. Put it in the comments.
All right. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.
Have a great night.
And it's true that we cannot see that far behind. If we looked all the way in the past, we'd go blind. In the night, from the stars as they've all lived their lives, and the light that they gave as they burned and then died.